Hello friends, it's Funky Play Brothers, and please remember to subscribe to our YouTube. And today we're reading Skeletor and the Masters of Havoc. I, Skeletor, New York Times bestselling author Gregory Mon, Book 2, a Netflix animated series, Tales of Eternia, Chapter 24. The Sorceress of Grayskull materialized just in time to ruin my party. She hadn't chosen her normal human form either. Instead, she appeared as a human falcon, with her majestic wings of azure stretched across the courtyard between the palace and the surrounding walls. Some of the people cowered in fear, most watched with wonder and awe. The Sorceress of Grayskull spent most of her time guarding a castle that bore my ancestor's name, and harbored so many of the secrets of Eternia. This was busy work. I guess she hadn't visited Eternia in ages. Not even for a quick coffee. She's certainly not in this majestic ethereal form. Sure, the spectacle was impressive. Sorceress was no more magician. Her ability stretched beyond illusions and conjuring. She had raw, pure power, that sort of people both respected and feared. But honestly, she could have dialed it down a little. There was no need to show off. The guardian of Castle Grayskull was interested in Randor's new friend. Sorceress shined a beam of purple light upon the stranger. "Step forward," she ordered. "It's safe, Marlena. She's not here to harm anyone," Randor ordered. "She's our protector." "Yes, technically, but why was she interfering with my coronation?" A few people in the crowd bowed. "Really?" I rolled my eyes. The pilot moved carefully down the steps. "You're not from this planet, are you?" Sorceress asked. Marlena looked around. She widened her eyes and Ollie let out a slight chuckle. "Nope, definitely not." "What's your name, visitor?" The pilot reached out as if she were going to shake Sorceress' hand, realizing her error. She pulled it back awkwardly. "Marlena." A completely unnecessary and overly dramatic crack of thunder followed. "Then it is as I envisioned," Sorceress replied. My brother had backed toward the step. The crowd hovered in the air between us. I was tempted to leap for it, but didn't want to look desperate. "Thanks for joining us, Sorceress," I said. "Nice to see you, really. We're all honored. If you wouldn't mind letting us know, though, why is that we're stopping?" "We've chosen our king," Randor added. "Yes," I replied with a clap. "Me." For effort, I added a slight bow. The crown began floating towards Randor's square head. "Wrong way," I noted. "That's Randor. I'm Keldor, and we've already agreed that I'm to be coronated." A louder crack of thunder sounded. The magical wings of the gigantic falcon spread out wider. "Then you were all mistaken. Frankly, I think we've made a great choice," I replied. "Silence, Randor is to be king." "Silence? Nobody silences me." "But what authority do you—" The thunder boomed once as she replied, "By the power of Grayskull." Her voice shook the surrounding buildings. That was the first time I'd ever heard that cursed phrase. Yet I had to admit it was very catchy. The words startled me. When I started to challenge her, my lips were magically sealed. Not even a whisper issued from my mouth. Sorceress had silenced me. No one else protested on my behalf. No one dared. Wide-eyed, I glanced at General Decker. His expression confirmed what I'd feared. He looked briefly sympathetic, then turned to my brother. Sorceress of Grayskull had invoked her ancient right to choose the king, and the crown had been stripped from my grasp. The kingdom would soon belong to Randor. In another great flash of light, Sorceress vanished. Needless to say, I didn't stay to watch the ceremony. I mounted my strider, switched on the malfunctioning bracelet for my backup. For a backup, I'd stashed in the saddle and prepared to track down the convincing Sorceress. An eternal compass was pointing me in one direction only, Castle Grayskull. The general and several advisors insisted that I wouldn't be right for me to leave, and that I should witness my brother's coronation. Randor begged too. He practically threw himself in front of my strider. "Keldor," he pleaded, "I know this isn't the decision you were hoping for, but these are the laws of the kingdom. We have to respect her choice." "Respect her choice? We haven't seen a glorified witch in ages. Now she suddenly decides to show up and steal the crown from me?" I spun my strider around, ready to race away. "I'm going to Castle Grayskull to have a few words with her. Randor and you cannot stop me." "Brother, please," he replied. "I understand your frustration. By searching out Castle Grayskull is not the answer. It's our duty to protect the castle, not only from our enemies, but even from ourselves. From ourselves? This was the fool the sorceress had chosen to rule. He had actually afraid of wielding true power. I was more convinced than ever that I deserved the throne. That castle serves the king, Randor, not the other way around. My brother edged closer to my strider. I was half tempted to ping him with a laser. He clasped his hands in front of his chest and lowered his voice to a solemn whisper. Mother and father might be gone, but we are family, Keller. I want you to be here, brother, please. He meant it too. I steered my horse around him and raced out of the city. Never mind the sorceress and her magical decree. From the day I was born, Grayskull was destined to be mine. Now the castle itself seemed to be calling me. A strange magic was a work, a force I needed to learn more about. My strider's energy was limitless, its speed unmatched. We rode to the farthest reaches of the Badlands. There was no sign of the civilization of life, and yet I began to feel as if Castle Grayskull was near. Thick clouds obscured the view ahead of us. I slowed my bionic horse, dismounted, and led the machine to the edge of the stone cliff. The opposite side was hidden in some kind of dense, magical fog. Without fear, I approached the edge and peered down at the chasm below. Looked infinite. I sensed her again, or something at least. A vast and mysterious power. Sorceress, I yelled. Reveal yourself. The wind rose. Stop hiding from me, you coward. Where are you? The clouds ahead of me lifted and cleared as a castle resembling a monstrous stone skull appeared above the chasm. This, I knew, was the legendary Castle Grayskull. The jaw of the stone skull lowered and touched down against the edge of the cliff. This was the famed drawbridge. Funny, I hadn't thought it would actually be a jaw. The lowering of the bridge was clearly an invention. I stepped forward. Instantly some annoying magic blasted me back, and I was slammed against the stony ground some 30 feet away. Stunned, I shook my head and stood up. I clicked the buttons on my new wristband and watched as my loyal strider fired from all of its laser cannons at once. My bionic beasts attacked did absolutely nothing. Grayskull was protected within some kind of magical bubble. The blast struck with all the furiosity of raindrops. Sorceress emerged from the castle and stood at the top of the drawbridge. She was in her normal human form, and she waved her staff at the robotic protector. My star's laser cannons folded back into its saddle. The beast's stuff was frozen in place, as if all of its mechanisms' muscles had stalled. Her eyes gleamed with intensity. You were drawn here to the castle, she said. Duh, I quipped. Probably because I'm supposed to be king. Sorceress appeared distant, even from a magician who lived in a hidden castle. Then she nodded. The old king has died, and your brother's coronation, she paused, closing her eyes briefly, has just been completed. Briefly, you both had access to Grayskull. While you both had claim to the throne, now that he is king, only Randor may enter. This may not very encouraging news, but I was a quick thinker. Yes, I know. I'm here to warn you. He plans to enter Grayskull and harvest its power. Liar, she shouted. Well, yes, and I was a very good one, too. How did she know? Guilty, I confessed with a shrug. I heard what you said to Randor back at the palace. Your brother is one who understands that Castle Grayskull is to be protected, and that its power must be not abused or for personal gain. I won't be surprised if he ever crosses this drawbridge himself. What's the point of having access to an unstoppable power if you're not going to use it? I asked. Also, do you listen to all of our conversations? Talk about overstepping. A flash of light streamed out of the castle. Henceforth, Keldor, you will be able to cross this threshold with permission, and I do not grant you privilege. Enough Grayskull lectures and idle threats. She had explained to you. You stole the crown from me. Why? A vision, Sorceress said. It's not entirely clear, but a great power will soon rise of this planet, and Randor must be king if Eternos is to survive. Not entirely clear. If it isn't entirely clear, you should have told us. I can tell you right now, and I will be perfectly clear, that I would protect Eternia against this power. Give me the crown. The arrival of the pilot has changed everything, Keldor. My brother's new girlfriend? I couldn't see how some random pilot dropped out of the sky should affect the royal succession. What are you talking about? And what is this terrible threat? I'm still a prince. I have the right to know. Sorceress looked back into the castle. She shook her head. I cannot see the threat nor the face of the champion who will rise against it. All I know is that if Eternia is to remain safe, Randor must be king and Marlena is his queen. This was ridiculous. The future of our kingdom was not going to be decided by cloudy, uncertain visions. Now, while I was around, let me see it, I said, moving toward the drawbridge. What? The vision. Show me it to me. I'd like to double check. You are talking about this fate of a kingdom here. You want to be certain? No? Let me inside, sorceress. I'll decipher things for you. Only the king can enter uninvited, Keller, she answered, and you are not the king. Because of you, I roared again. I rushed to the entrance, and again that blast magic threw me backward. This time I didn't stop to gather myself. I leaped back to my feet to charge again, yelling, "Let me in that castle now!" The drawbridge began to close. I nearly fell straight off the cliff. My sword gripped my shirt from beneath in its powerful mechanical jaws. Sorceress has been kind enough to unfreeze that beast at least, but if she thought I was going to thank her, she was wrong. Get back here, I shouted. The crown is mine. Sorceress hovered above the entrance as the drawbridge continued to close. With every word, you only convinced me further that I was right to choose Randor. A true royal doesn't merely rule their people. True royals lead their people. With you, it's all mine, mine, mine. Yes, and Grayskull is mine, and Eternia, look, too. They're all mine. Grayskull will never be yours, Keldor. She did not understand the power of these words. How could she? For all her flashy powers and ethereal knowledge, Sorceress didn't know what I'd learned. She didn't know of my fight with Hiss, and she didn't know the truth about Grayskull and the sigil. One day I decided I'd show her. I'd master magic. I'd return to Grayskull, and when I did, I would be ready. I would show them all the true meaning of power. So, friends, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow us on social media, Funky Play Bros and Funky Play Brothers. Support our vlog, Cash App, $, Funky Players. Thanks for watching. Bye.